readers. My name is Monique Snyman and I'm an editor for Booktrib.com. And today I'm very pleased to announce that we have the pleasure of speaking with Jade Beer, who will give us some insight into her book, The Memory Dress. Jade's book is one of the selections available in the Booktrib's book club program for January, and I'm very excited that she could find a few minutes out of a busy schedule to talk to us today. Welcome, Jade.
Thank you so much for having me.
So let's get into it. No spoilers, but
No
what can,
spoilers. It's so hard not to give spoilers, but I'll try my best.
if you want to, I'm not going to say no. No spoilers, but what can you share about your book that we wouldn't find on the jacket cover?
Okay, so I suppose a lot has been made about the fact that Princess Diana features in this book. And that is true. There are 10 of her dresses that kind of provide, I guess, the framework to the plot. And they're real dresses, and all of those dresses sold at that very famous Christie's auction that happened in New York in 1997. And I know from previous books that readers love it when the dresses are real because they go off, they Google them, and they're able to kind of properly visualize that particular dress when they get to it in the story. So a lot has been made of that. But for me, the real essence of this book, I think, and I'm not sure I even realized it when I was writing it, is really about the power of community and what can happen when someone is really brave enough to step right out well beyond their comfort zone in the pursuit of helping somebody else, which is absolutely central to what this book is all about. And the focus really is on kindness and friendship and family, and also those kind of brutal decisions that we all have to make in life, and the sort of decisions that you will constantly question whether you got right or wrong. This book to me feels like, I would say, the most personal novel that I've ever written. And again, I didn't deliberately set out to do that, but there are themes in the book that are very personal to me. So, the book touches on the subject of dementia. And that's something that my own grandmother lived with for many years. And I saw the impact that it had on the wider family, but in particular, my mother, who was her kind of main carer through all of it. And I guess when people think about dementia, they think about memory loss, which is obviously a subject very central to this book. But really, dementia, in my experience of it, and obviously everybody's experience is different, but for my family, it was really about the complete rewriting of someone's personality and not being able to recognize this very beloved member of your family from the person they were and the person they've become. So that is a really sort of key thread in the book as well. And then I have filtered in, I have two daughters, one who's 16 and one who's 10. And it's the first time I've put any children in one of my novels. And they're not on the page a lot, but it was an opportunity for me to really tap into their very distinct personalities. They are completely polarized, my two daughters. And so it was fun to be able to explore that a little bit in amongst some of the kind of meatier themes, I suppose, that the book explores. That, I think, gives a little bit of lightness to it as well. And it just allowed me to inject some humor into the story too.
I love that. I want to read it now.
you.
Why would The Memory Dress make a great book club selection?
Well, I think despite the fact that it has an incredibly glamorous backdrop, so we're in this world of couture royal fashion. That's the very, very glamorous backdrop to the story. But that really butts up against topics that I think are really relatable, and the kind of things that we all tackle in our everyday lives. So I think the book is going to give you a lot of talking points, I guess is what I'm saying. I think there are going to be many moments in reading the book. And when you come together in those brilliant kind of book club moments and you're really getting into the meat of the story and how the characters behave and did they do the right things, and would you have acted the same way had you been faced with those challenges or those questions? So things like the subject of grief and the way people experience it. Everybody experiences it differently depending on their age and the time of life it hits them. And so that's a big topic of discussion in the book. And then obviously memory is central to it, how memory affects your kind of perception of the world and your place in it. Um, there's a love story that spans 30 years in this book. And that I think is something that everybody in their own way will be able to relate to. You know, when you are in a love story that lasts that amount of time, it is obviously going to have its real peaks and its troughs and its highs and its lows. And how does that change you as a person as you travel through it? So that's very central to it. But also, I guess on a lighter note, you know, the incredible power of a great dress and how that can change the course of an evening or a relationship or just one moment in time. And there are obviously lots of memories in this book that are connected to very specific dresses, and not just for the woman who wore them on the night that she wore them, but the wider kind of cast of characters that all are related to that moment in some way. So I hope there's just going to be lots of moments where people will have a moment to pause and think, how would I have acted if that was me in that situation? How would I have acted? And I think that's going to hopefully make for some really great conversations in book clubs.
I think so. And I mean, it's Princess Diana. She's always talked about.
Exactly.
What's the best book, fiction or non-fiction, that you've read in the last year and why?
I would have to say it's the book I'm reading right now, which is All the Colours of the Dark by Chris Whitaker.
Mm.
And I have never read anything by Chris before. He's obviously a hugely accomplished writer. This book topped the New York Times bestseller list and the Sunday Times bestseller list simultaneously. And lots of people told me this book is amazing, read it. And I didn't go and get it because it has a very, very dark premise, which is a missing child. And I never read books like that. I find them too disturbing. I never read crime fiction. I never watch crime on TV because I then go to bed and I stare at the ceiling and I can't sleep. So I never read those sorts of books. But everybody raved about this book, and then somebody bought it for me for Christmas. And I'm probably 3/4 of the way through it, and it is the most beautiful and anguished love story. And some of the compromises that the characters are forced to make are so painful. And it is a book that's just completely moved me. And ultimately, that is what I want a piece of fiction to do. I really want to be moved. I do want to be in tears when I read a book. I sort of think that's the purpose of it. I don't want a sort of gentle ride through a story. I want to feel I'm going to have to put this down for a minute because I can't quite cope with what I'm reading. I enjoy feeling that way when I'm so locked into a story. I think if you hear me saying that and you think, oh, it's too much, I'm not sure I want something so full on. I guess what I would say is it's tempered in this book because it's also quite an incredible love story to rural America and those small town communities that exist in America. And that just gives you the light and shade that you need to be able to cope with some of the more disturbing parts of the book. So it's brilliant. Literally from page one, I was in. And I know it's the kind of book that when I finish it, I will have to put it to one side and not read anything for a while because I just need it. I'll need to absorb it and then move beyond it before I pick something else up. But yeah, I would highly recommend it.
You've sold me, so.
Great.
I'd love to talk to you more about books, especially yours, but I promised readers 5 minutes. We'll have to wrap this up so I can go read your book because now I want to. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for spending some time with me. And yeah, that was very insightful.
Oh, thank you so much.
You're very welcome. For more information about Jade's book, please check out the book club page on the booktrib.com website. Until next time, bye.